Hello, Twins fans. The dust has settled on a disastrous Game 3. Let's talk about what the happened. But before we get into that,
this is brought to you by Kraken Wax. Kraken Wax has been offering sports card entertainment since 2008. The Kraken Wax district page lists thousands of collectibles from hundreds of sellers covering a variety of sports and interests. Visit the Kraken Wax page today.
let's get into it. So, simply put, the Houston Astros were better than the Minnesota Twins. That's what it comes down to. It doesn't come down to shadows. It doesn't come down to anything else. The Astros were better than the Twins. Christian Javier was better than Sonny Gray. That's all there is to it. But let's dive into why or how that happened and talk about some different factors into the game. First, want to start out with Christian Javier because I loved the matchup for the Twins. But they were just overmatched. He just dominated them. Velo and spin rates were actually right around his season norm, so it's not like there was anything weird there. I saw very little, but maybe some sticky stuff accusations on Twitter. Nope. Velo spin rates were very normal. Even for the Twins, like overall contact rates and swing rates were very normal. We walked 5 times over 5 innings. We struck out 9 times over 5 innings. Honestly, throughout the season, that's not totally weird, but we had an 81% whiff rate on his slider. And as we know from watching the game, from listening to the broadcast, that was the difference. We could not hit the slider. And that's where the shadows and what we call tunneling comes in. So again, I'm not going to use the shadows as an excuse, but they do help explain a little bit why the Twins just were flailing at everything. But it's less about the shadows and more about the concept of tunneling. So let's talk about that, because yesterday on the broadcast, AJ Pierzynski tried to show you an example of tunneling, and it was actually a terrible example. The example on the broadcast was a great example of repeating your release point, which is an important thing for pitchers to do. But that's just the start of the tunnel. Here's a far better example. Thank you to Rob Friedman, better known as Pitching Ninja. If you don't follow him, he arguably might be the best follow on baseball Twitter. But here's a far better example. Again, the release point is just the start of the tunnel. Tunneling happens where, as you can see with this fastball and slider to Royce Lewis, for the first, let's just say 30 feet, the path of the ball looks the exact same. But then for the last 30 feet, gravity and spin rates take over. So again, you see the slider here, tails off glove side, the fastball just keeps going straight. Now, you combine those things with the shadows, because shadows do affect how you see the baseball, how well you see the baseball. But more importantly, Christian Javier was phenomenal yesterday when it came to tunneling. And of course, we saw a lot on Twitter. Well, it doesn't seem to be impacting the Astros. Well, once again, Sonny Gray just wasn't as good as Christian Javier, and tunneling was a part of that as well. So did the shadows play a role? Yes, but more importantly, it's just because Christian Javier was pitching so well, and the shadows just added to that. And that's why it seemed to only impact the Twins and not the Astros. It's because Javier was better than Sonny Gray. So that's the biggest reason right there. It's just Javier was better than Gray. Again, Astros were better than Twins. Some other factors though, clutch hitting. And I know we've focused a lot on the Kirilloff error and his at-bats and Wallner's at-bats, but I honestly think that Royce Lewis had maybe the worst day at the plate yesterday. He came up in some big moments, and he swung at a lot of pitches that were not strikes. In fact, in his first at-bat, bottom of the first, we need to answer, guys on second and third, 1 out. He swung at 3 straight pitches. None of them were in the zone. Carlos Correa comes up next. He looks at a pretty good strike 1, looks at ball 1, and then he swings at 2 pitches that were not in the strike zone. So Javier got out of that jam by the Twins swinging at 5 strikes that were not really even close to the strike zone. They weren't borderline by any means. And that happened a lot throughout the game. Third inning, first and second, nobody out. Jorge Polanco comes to the plate, strikes out swinging, 2 whiffs on balls that were not really that close to the plate. Kepler and, again, Royce come up after him, and they fly out to end the inning. Of course, then we had that 6th inning rally started, 1st and 2nd, 1 out. Jeffers comes up, hits a rocket double play ball, ends the inning, ends the threat, and kind of ends any momentum the Twins really had. Felt like it was kind of over after that. But that ball gets me into my last factor for yesterday's game, and that's just luck. Not a big factor. Again, the biggest factor was that Javier was better than Gray. The Astros were better than the Twins. But the Astros got a little bit of luck on their side. Nothing really went well for the Twins yesterday. And so I looked at the hard hit data from yesterday's game. The Astros went 9 for 9 on their hardest hit balls of the game. So yes, again, they're hard hit balls. If you do that enough, you're going to be a good hitter. You're going to get hits. But the Astros went 9 for 9. And based off the XBAs on those hard hits, there was about a 1% chance of that happening. So it was a 1% likely that the Astros went 9 for 9 on their hardest hits of the ball game. For the Twins, that Jeffers play, that was the second hardest hit of the game. Total, it had a 570 XBA. We know how that ended. The Twins went 3 for 9 out of their top 9 hardest hits. Now, transparency, the Astros hit the ball harder than the Twins throughout the entire day. So, the last 4 or 5 of the Twins' hardest hits from that top 9 weren't nearly as good as the Astros. But still, again, they only went 3 for 9 on their hardest hit balls. It just wasn't their day. So what do we have here in Game 4? We have Joe Ryan versus Jose Urquidy. A lot of people are assuming that the starters are just going to go 2 or 3 innings, and then it's going to turn into a bullpen game. Biggest thing for the Twins is that clutch hitting. It's been overshadowed in the playoffs that they really have not hit well with runners in scoring positions, being overshadowed by some really big home runs for the Twins. So that's going to be the key for today. They have an uphill battle. It's just, even though the Astros bullpen isn't great, you're going to be facing probably 6 or 7 different pitchers today, and that's just a tall task. It's hard to have an approach when it's changing every inning, and you don't know who's going to be coming in for those innings. So an uphill battle today. I do like the Twins to win with their backs against the ropes, and again, just keep doing what you're doing in terms of the approach at the plate. It's worked for you all year. We just need those timely hits, and I'm hoping to see that today. What were your thoughts on Game 3? Give me the PC version in the comments, on Twitter at Lenzy2108, or on YouTube, Musings from Twins Territory.
My Kraken Wax district listing of the week is this Royce Lewis Refractor, a beautiful card of a guy who is already establishing himself as a Twins legend. At the time of filming, $1, free shipping. Hard to say no to that. Head to the Kraken Wax district page to buy it.